You're listening to Health Professional Radio. My name is Wayne Buckler, and my guest today is from Victoria in Australia. Tom Cullen is the owner and operator of a business, Eveready Health Solutions. Now, Eveready Health Solutions, Tom, is not the name that sort of tells me what you do. So tell us where it is you operate and what sort of things Eveready Health Solutions does.
Thank you, Wayne. Look, Eveready Health Solutions is a business that I commenced. We're based in Melbourne, eastern part of Melbourne, in Victoria, and we operate in the supplementary oxygen space or specialty. I provide portable oxygen-concentrator devices and also floor or stationary type devices to appropriate individuals or to people in aged care facilities or retirement homes, or to people in the hospital sector, which takes in palliative care, district nursing, and people who've got to be discharged from hospital following various operations.
Now, Tom, I'm not a clinician, so just help me out here. Most of our audience are clinicians, and they'll probably think I'm incredibly dumb here. But what sort of conditions lead people to need a portable oxygen concentrator?
Okay, a portable oxygen concentrator is a device that provides supplementary oxygen to the individual who has lung issues, deficiency in the lung, or people with cystic fibrosis, and sometimes have cardiovascular deficiencies as well. It's something that's identified and obviously monitored, and one has to have a GP script. It's regarded as a drug. But what it allows people to do is give them an enormous amount of independence, freedom, mobility in their life. And it's a unit that's powered by a lithium battery. Number one, so one can go to the opera, the theatre, the cinema, to lunch, and then also there is a dedicated pack for use in their car if they're going off from Melbourne, say, to Sydney or Brisbane, your city, or alternatively then if they're travelling, planning a travel interstate or an overseas trip, they can also be used and are approved by multiple airlines. But predominantly the device is for people with these deficiencies and are prescribed by respiratory specialists after someone has been through the process and monitored with the scientist in the lung section of sleep or respiratory section of a public hospital or.
You're listening to Health Professional Radio. My name is Wayne Buckler. Today I'm in conversation with Tom Cullen, who's the owner and operator of Eveready Health Solutions, and we've been talking about portable oxygen concentrators, a product that Tom provides. Now, Tom, these things don't have a tank of oxygen with them, do they?
Correct, Wayne. This device actually eliminates all the refills and it delivers oxygen via nasal cannula, but it in fact creates its own oxygen and works forever and ever. As I say, it's operated or powered by a lithium battery, and it is at various settings which the clinician or respiratory specialist would set that individual at. It's got a memory to continue to do that, and obviously the life of a battery depends on the setting that's at. You then recharge the battery by way of the transformer and the charger in your electricity point at home, or there is, as I referred to before, the dedicated car kit charger. But they provide oxygen on an ongoing basis and never requires refilling, unlike the cylinders that perhaps your audience or you or I have been accustomed to.
That's surprising to me. You know, I do a lot of interviews with the health industry, and the idea of extracting oxygen from the atmosphere and concentrating it just hadn't occurred to me. Is this a common technique that's regularly in use?
I'm hesitating there. Yes, it is. It's technology that's been available for something like 10 to 12 years. There are a number of companies that are in that space, and it's developed by way of the unit, which weighs incidentally anywhere between 2.8 kilos to about 4.5 kilos. There are different models, but basically the principle of it is that they take in the air by way of a filter, which we all breathe, and then it separates what we don't want in the system by way of an exhaust system, and then it delivers the medical grade oxygen at a rate up to 93% via a nasal cannula.
Intriguing. Tom, what would you like clinicians to know about this?
The clinicians, I would like them to perhaps be more aware of this as an option for people. My role is to educate and impart information, and it's more of a consultancy type role. But I would love the clinicians to be able to consider or look at this. The unit doesn't form any part of government issue of devices within the respiratory specialist. It's something that the individual has to acquire, purchase on their own, and I guess the clinicians are dealing largely with the public who have sadly a health issue, and they look at a device that they can have at home and have the cylinders that they're accustomed to that require ongoing filling, refilling in their homes or wherever they may live, whether it's rural, regional, country areas, and there is a huge cost associated with that. So despite my level of activity trying to get to teaching hospitals and practice managers and that, there's a huge, and what advertising I may do. I'd love the clinicians and GPs and personnel in that area to perhaps be more aware of it and look at what advertising perhaps that I can do in this small venture that I've got. And sadly, there is no funding by way of, as a rule, by government bodies or state governments. Private health funds also at this stage do not offer a rebate for this.
Well, with a little bit of luck today, some of our listeners may have sparked an interest in it, and they can get more information at your website, www.evereadyhealthsolutions.com. Tom, if there's a misconception about portable oxygen concentrators and your business that drives you nuts and keeps you awake at night, what would that misconception be?
Look, I guess it embraces some of the things that I've alluded to there, is that the cost of it, no government assistance and claims from private health funds, I guess, and the general public, particularly, look, these devices from a price point of view, you're looking at somewhere in the region of $5,000, which is a massive amount of money to an individual or to anyone. And, particularly if you're a senior person, a pensioner on low income, it's very frustrating for them not to have this sort of support, which allows them to go to down to the and the public sometimes believe that these should be available, and but look, that's our current policy, despite what lobbying that may be going on.
I see. Tom, thank you for your time this morning. It's been very informative to hear about the portable oxygen concentrators. Certainly it was something that I didn't know anything about, but the number of things that I don't know anything about is very long, I can assure you. We'll put a transcript of this story on our website and a sound archive at www.hpr.fm for anyone who'd like to catch up on it, who's missed our full conversation. We'll leave that available there. And also in that transcript, we'll have your website, www.evereadyhealthsolutions.com, so people can track that down. So Tom Cullen, thank you for your time this morning. My name's Wayne Buckler. This is Health Professional Radio.
Thank you very much indeed, Wayne, to you and your listeners out there across Australia, and in particular Victoria.